Computer now. We are recording. Okay, I'm just going to go straight back in. Okay, I'm in. I'm sitting in front of a large bullseye. And there's a sensation of movement. As though it's going past me and I'm going straight into the center.
You must be on target. Do you feel it's pulling you in?
I'm just sitting in a point of awareness, observing.
What's coming into your awareness the most?
You yourself are presenting in the inner field at approximately 7:30 on the clock, and there is some activity involved in your household occurring here. I'm not giving too much of my attention to it, but it is here.
Why would that come into awareness? That particular?
It must be relative to the channel.
Do you wish just to go past and go further?
Indeed.
Okay, let's just push forward. Are you getting any more visuals or senses?
Only the sensation of the movement. Through this tunnel. I'm focusing straight ahead into the eye of the needle, as it were.
Do you feel this is taking your awareness much deeper?
Only the sensation of the movement into the opening there at the end of the tunnel.
Can you describe the tunnel? Are you near the opening?
I am through. You may ask your questions.
Can you describe who you are?
Next question.
Is there anything of interest coming into your awareness?
The channel is open, James. You may ask your questions.
The channel, okay. I'm actually interested in my next question, which was abductions and to why these take place.
If you can narrow your question down, it would be helpful.
There's a phenomena of ET abductions, and I was wondering why this is necessary to do.
I am traveling through various layers that would take much longer to relay to you than the time in which we'll be here. If you could narrow your question in on yourself, if you could narrow your question into something more specific in regard to why, which is huge, it will help me focus in on what is most pertinent to you.
It would be, what is the purpose of the abductions?
Of your abductions,
No, the phenomena that happens here on this planet. And I was wondering why this would take place given free will.
are you asking why some of your species would perceive the contact with their own extra dimensional and extraterrestrial dimensions would be perceived as abduction?
Yes, that would be another way to put it. Yes, that would be the question. For they have no recollection of agreeing.
Your species is in an experience field in which a large portion of yourself is held from your knowing. The concept of abduction as you yourself share is a point of view that naturally arises upon such an occasion. We do not see this as a question within you, but a knowing already present. Question.
It was the free will that was getting me about the abductions, for they have no recollection of any agreements, and it's my mind because of the effects this has on individuals.
Free will occurs upon the plane of the many dimensions. Free will as a soul. Free will I am looking for the correct concept. Free will upon a higher dimensional existence and what you would see as sixth dimension, fifth dimension, fourth dimension, third dimension. Equally and universally, are in effect you as a soul in direct experience upon the many planes. Invoke your right to this right, the right of free will, upon the higher planes. There is a greater awareness of this. On the lesser planes, a lesser awareness of this. At no point in this construct is the free will interrupted. Question.
I'll change subject. Is there a more concerted effort for more open contact with a higher awareness taking place now?
Contact is and always has been occurring from the greater planes in toward the lesser. Opening.
Will this now becoming,
Opening the point of attention in the dimension you would call your own is the action and activity being engaged in. The extraterrestrial dimensions of your human consciousness are the dimensions involved in the action and activity of the opening of this point in direct alignment with the universal and free will of those persons who, in essence, are these points. This is contact. Did you not wish for this? Did you not want for this?
Yes, I do very much, as much others, is that there is a lot of disconnect taking place at the moment. I was curious if this was now going to be an experience for all humanity to have much more open awareness for all beings incarnated here.
There are always those who will choose in this way. There are always those who do not choose in this way. The percentage of those choosing for this in the current energy coming into your planetary system is currently at its height.
Will there be more activity from what is perceived as craft taking place now into the next few years?
This action, this activity occurs within the field of your own conscious awareness, within the field of the conscious awareness structures of those who you perceive as other. As you, from within this field, begin opening, experiencing, seeing more of this phenomena, the consciousness expands out into the new dimension, into the new width, into the new system, the larger system, the galactic system and awareness of life as it exists upon the stars, the planets and moons, enters your experience to the degree that it is applicable to the life you are now living in the new world.
Can you give some information on what is being called the ascension of this species? Is this for the entire species, or is this just for those opening up into that with the wish to go?
It is a program overseen by a higher dimensional collective consciousness. Not all upon your planet are involved in the energy and activity of this program. The percentage of those who are based on the current consensus agreement of population is approximately 7%. Is
You
approximately
broke up at the
5%.
last part. Was that 7% going for the ascension, or was that 70%?
The percentage is approximately 5 to 7% of what you consensually agree on as the current population.
So do we have many incarnated here going through an awakening process to help push this consensus over for the ascension to take place?
5 to 7% represents the ideal portion required to successfully achieve what the ascension is, which is the transmutation of the current what is this? The current human structure. The ascension is the ascension of the human body. The ascension is not the growth and graduation of consciousness, of one's conscious experience into a new dimension. This is something on its own. The concepts are not the same, James.
So this just now be more increasing our consciousness awareness, more awareness of our higher parts.
Specific question, please.
So is there an overall lifting of our awareness taking place?
What is happening is an inflow of information too large to share with you verbally in a short period of time. The more you can specify your question, the more I can key in on what is pertinent and relevant to yourself asking it.
It's probably more than, is it becoming easier, higher awareness?
Easier relevant to who? Easier relevant to what?
The species in general. I see a change. I see more awareness coming over many more.
And in whose field does this arise? In whose awareness does this arise?
I see it in my awareness.
And is this awareness what you perceive as the physical world, or as a physical world outside yourself?
I perceive the change outside of myself to the physical world. I'm seeing people having spontaneous experience.
Where is the physical world arising? To whom is it appearing? The
So
world
this is
is,
just me.
the world is in you. The world arises within your awareness.
So it's more a case because I'm going that direction. That's what I am now perceiving the reality to go. That's more accurate to what I perceive. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
You are the singularity. You are the 0 point. You are the point of expansion. You are all that is being observed. Now, what is your question?
So I can create this reality as I like, as I would like to see it, and it would change.
You are creating your world as you are seeing it. Is this happening for other potential individuals? experiencing and involved in the same play of the light. Indeed.
Yeah. So the individuals that I perceive outside and around me, they would also come along as I create that reality. That would also happen with them. They would see and become with me.
Some will, some won't. Some, in what they represent, will remain aligned with your trajectory. Some, in what they represent, will not remain aligned with your trajectory.
What happens to those who do not align to that? Is it like they just be out of my life kind of scenario?
From one way of viewing this, yes. From another, they are still there, just not in as an immediate or direct location to you. Some of those you know who have been a part of your life and what is perceptually your past are no longer in your direct experience. Yet the idea of them remains, awareness of them remains. Their physical, visual proximity to you is what has altered.
We all sometimes feel we have missions here. What would be my own mission? What's my mission if that is the case?
We could ask for a stronger permission to enter your energetic field. We could ask for a stronger push of your energy out to us in direct relation to this question, however, would it suffice if we summed this up with the concept of search and rescue?
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That's fine. But given the last answer, as I just let the creator part sink in to what I could do with that. Create a reality where no one needs saved. Is that a possibility for me? That would be that would be that would be it, wouldn't it?
There is reality as it is. There is reality as it is created. Each are with their own level of truth. Each are being experienced in the dimensional level in which you find yourself being, breathing, believing, and the structure within reality as it is created. There are what are perceptually others. The vast majority of these others are those residing within your own energetic template. These are those both searching, both rescuing and being rescued. These sometimes, these ones sometimes are reflected to you in what you see as the world in the perceptual and visual field. Appearing as others, as those who are outside yourself. The one field is fundamental. The one is a representation of the field that is fundamental. All is fundamentally within. It is represented as a projection, perceptually as the field all around you.
Takes time to let these things sink in to actually to push it forward.
All consciousness is real, regardless of the format in which it presents. Therefore, the search and rescue mission is likewise very real. The experience of it is very real. And meaningful to you as a consciousness.
But it is these perceptions that produce good evolution. Is a good experience. So the human experience and overall, is this a very good evolutional schoolhouse? Very effective.
Some see it as so. Some come to see it as so.
So we do get to choose what I call a mission, but particular lessons, and you can tailor fit the schoolhouse into that particular lesson or experience you truly wanted to learn from.
Is there a question?
Hmm. What do you think? I'll trace myself back. Hang on a second. Are there more challenging realities to be enrolled in?
The concept is relative to who is asking the question. Is your question in regard to realities which you yourself would perceive as more challenging to you than the current reality? Yes.
I find this one pretty challenging. So can we get to create our own realities, our own universes? That's something that we can all do as the source has done.
Indeed, in many ways, you already are. As all are one.
So in pursuing my relationship in this group, I could be going into cases, created realities with the ETs. If I align that way,
As there are openings in you to concepts, being experienced within her own, these concepts will bleed into your own. Here, there will be a level of commonality in which areas of the total constraint can be shared, in which you may move perceptually into the perceptual field of herself and herself into the perceptual field of your own. So as you hear concepts being invoked, being energized, being activated in the life experience, you may open to the same concepts being invoked and energized and activated within your own. The common frequencies, the common frequency with which the activation and actualization of the concepts come into play, increase the likelihood of energies, your energies crossing paths.
I'm trying not to go too big because I'll get lost up in there. So I'm bringing myself just down to the connections and creatings. There was opportunity with beings as the OL. That was interesting to join and to go and create. And I was wondering if to find out how that was possible, how that gets done.
Specific question, please.
I was wanting to make contact, in particular the OL that came through in other sessions, to find out how I can be in contact with this particular awareness.
Open to this energy.
Just be open to it, that's all it takes.
Open the awareness. A steady flow of awareness. And open to this energy entering. It may enter your awareness field upon this opening. It may enter your energetic field upon the energetic field opening. It may enter the physical field upon the opening of the physical field.
So at the moment, going into the human structure, DNA structure, is the DNA going to get modified more? Are there more strands being added?
The strands are already there. It is the connections between the strands of information that may be made. This is occurring, as we stated previously, upon various dimensions of your being in alignment with the free will of the level of being upon each of the dimensions. Including your own.
Where I'm going here is that they say the human DNA is a combination of 12 ET species mixed. Will there be more ET species coming to add their genetics to this?
there are those additional races interested in creating with the earth human. You invoke this, you allow this again from the various points of manifestation you are achieving upon many planes within the dimensions. This is not a universal experience creating a new human and another earth human world so much as it exists a potentiality within the parameters of the direct experience of entity manifestation within the planes, meaning you may begin within yourself the process of creating with species of consciousness in addition to those which have been involving themselves within the earth and earth human experiment. Not all beings will do this. Not all beings are doing this.
I was interested about children these days. Are they coming here for the incarnation with more awareness, more likely to have greater perceptions than normally would have been the case?
Earlier in this communique, we are discussing the percentage of the human population currently involved in the ascension of the earth human physical body system. This is for the purpose of higher dimensional consciousness I lost the word one moment. But for higher dimensional consciousness to come into, to experience through, to perform activity with and in, beyond that possible in the previous form. This information stream is coming in to the awareness of those individuality points who are perceptually growing, graduating, expanding out into what is in fact a new level of experience, a new dimensional level. This is not occurring as coming into and taking place within your perception of a third dimensional world. The world doesn't exist. There is no world outside yourself.
I realised that after I asked the question. So what is being channeled now when I'm doing this with me and Casey? Is Casey still very much involved as she was looking to expand out further?
There are two streams that are possible to come in reply. The one that is coming now, and the one that is Casey moving more forward to reply herself more directly. Currently, she is sitting in the energy of our self. She is still vocally serving as a medium of the streams. She periodically expands more out and ourselves more fully in. There are various energies, various entities who have come through to you during this channel. Three main energies, entities, and a variety of subsidial energies. You may, as a point of practice, begin learning to discern these energies.
I've been trying to pick up and just try and see what I was talking to. It's unclear yet. I need more practice. It's hard to tell the difference. I just see Casey as expanding her awareness. I don't recognize or pick up on other awareness coming through.
There is one you pick up very well. Remind yourself who this is.
I can't get it clear in my mind. Trying.
This energy invokes both within the channel as well as yourself a great deal of energy, an energy that makes you both smile. Here they come.
It's just a Yael I hear of. They are much fun and humorous.
So begin there. You can discern the energies. Begin and it will become easier. Even if the name or symbols or concepts for the energies do not come into play, you can learn to feel and see when there has been a shift in the energy, a shift in the attention.
A lot of my attention goes into the questions. My awareness is much more focused than trying to pick up
And after the
what I'm
channel,
interacting with.
the recording may be used for such purposes.
Okay.
The channel
So can you give some description of?
is disconnecting.
Okay.
Just a second, I want to see the pretty picture.
Sorry.
That's my little gift at the end. Hmm.
How are you after that?
Yeah, I needed to come back. About 10 minutes ago, I started saying, I want to come back. um, yeah, good.
You know, I didn't. I should have asked that question when you said them in, and I started talking question. And I did come to ask what I was communicating with, but I thought you were just going to say. I never realised. I had to watch that again to see what happened there. I was so concentrating, missed it. I thought we were still talking to you. Really, that's curious. That's so strange from my end. That's so strange.
What was it that happened?
I was asking at the end who I was talking to. You know, when you went, what was I taught? I should have asked that. I was actually going to ask that much earlier. But I just kept. I think I asked it before. You think you just said Casey. I thought I was still talking to you as you just opened. I hadn't realised that you'd actually drifted off and something else was coming through. I never even realised. I was so busy concentrating.
What it's
I
like
didn't
for
pick
me
them up.
in there, it's like um, sitting in the middle. Yeah, so I always feel it. So I guess it could be like, those huge trees. Um, what's that very large species of tree that lives here in California? They're huge. The redwoods.
Redwoods.
Yeah, so imagine a redwood that's about 100 times bigger than the redwoods that are here, which are pretty big. And it's like just me sitting at the base of it, you know, and I'm just tiny, and there's a connection. I'm not inside it so much as I'm leaning up against it, like my back body, and it's just starting to come in. I'm with my back body, sort of reaching in and accessing the energy, and just trusting the words to come forward. And then sometimes I'm really going out and expanding. You'll notice that I start to talk kind of slow. And I'm still here. That's why I'm talking slow. If they were fully in, you'd have a steady, normal stream of dialogue. Um, and then sometimes I'm not as expanded, and I'm very much sitting as medium of the words, and just sort of reaching in with my back body into this huge tree. That's how it feels to me.
I mean, I'm watching you and I'm listening. I'm watching you, but I don't see any. You just kind of remain very much the same. Apart from the speed difference, it's hard to tell what events coming in. It's just very little change in your posture or what you do, or even the sound of your voice is all the same. It's very hard to pick up a difference to see if it's coming in. It's very difficult. It takes some practice to be more aware.
Here's what I notice. I notice that there's an energy that comes in that really makes me lift my head up. And it can be really uncomfortable. I'm like, why is my head really up? And I sometimes forcibly make my head come back down because it gets uncomfortable. And the sensation, it's tight, too tight through here. And that sensation is distracting my attention. So that is one particular flow. It's a particular thing. It's a particular one. And then there's this other thing that begins happening where I start going like this, almost like I'm reading lines of data. And this is another thing, another energy, another something. And then there's three, what I could actually go so far as to call not just an energy or an energy stream, not just information or just an information stream, but an entity. And OL. I can feel now when OL's here. The OL.
Because they're funny.
That energy is hard to contain because it's very, very physical. That physicality is very close to my physicality. And I mean, it's just the reason I start doing this is because I almost can't handle the energy, and I do it so that my voice doesn't start shaking. I do this too to get the information because the energy is so distracting that I have a hard time getting the information. So yeah. So all of that is that those are differences.
Because sometimes I'm not sure.
I'm sitting very center, and oh yeah, sometimes there's this very loving energy that comes in. I just sort of want to call.
You get a big cheesy smell on you sometimes, if you're seeing something. I don't know what you're seeing.
Stuff I sometimes don't see until I watch, and even the things that I'm mentioning right here, I probably didn't notice until I watched in large part, in the playback. But yeah, it's all differences, So there may be 3 or 4 energies that come in to make something that is now going to speak, but only whoever the representative of the Yael is that comes as an entity. OL comes as an entity, And who's the other? The very first that came through in the mirror gazing? The name's not coming to me right now. Anyway,
Oh, I don't know.
yeah, the very first one to come through with a name. Yeah. When that's
Was that not
happening,
with Ra? Was that not with Ra? Ra, that one. I could have when you got the OL and that one there. I don't know another one.
yeah, you can go
I haven't
into
got
where
another one.
I've with our the legend, you know, that has the links to all of them, and it'll say there. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah, but it's getting more and more interesting. The more specific, and I'm sorry, there's feedback. If you can mute your microphone, I can hear myself. There's too much feedback, and I can't hear myself, and it comes out on the recording, and then I have to cut that material out because there's too much. Um, but what was I going to say? I forgot. Oh, just that it was
yeah,
here muted. It just said it was getting interesting, um, because I'm I have a little bit more depth perception. Starting at day one, you know, I just right up on the wall. I couldn't see what was happening. I didn't see what needed to happen. You know, but anyway, the more we do this, the more I see, and I have this depth perception from which I can see from here. You know, when you're standing up again, have you ever stood up right against a wall? You can't see the wall. You're too close. So you're too close to see what's right in front of you. That's only when you can, you know, sort of open it up to see this point from this point can you see it. Yeah, and that's starting to happen now. So I'm able to sort of discern and trust and see what I need to do in there and see what I need to suggest to you. The more specific you are to yourself, the reason, and here's something that I'll start doing. If you ask a question that's too big, nothing. Rather than tell you what's happening, know that if nothing has been said in 30 seconds, nothing's going to be said. It's too big. You've asked a question in which I've received this enormous encyclopedia's worth of information, and there's just no start point to it. And if I picked a start point, it would take us years to say out in words. So the more specific the question in a question format, sometimes if you can get an entity, you can, you know, dialogue by just saying something and it not being a question. But if there's no entity there, um, and it's a stream of information or higher consciousness itself, not in any form, you know, then yeah, you're going to have to ask a specific question. The more specific to you, they're your questions. So if they're not in regard to you, in any way, then again, nothing much comes. The more interesting the information, the more pertinent the question is to you, the deeper I'm sucked in, and that energy that wants to answer comes in. So I can feel that from within there. When you ask something that's actually a question you have about yourself relative to experiences you yourself are having, yeah, I sort of get sucked back. And yeah, there's more of an energetic sensation of, you know, an energy coming forward to reply. Yeah. So yeah, we'll get better at that, you know, the more we do this. The questions are in
practice
there.
me because I've got to practice my questions. I've got to practice watching you, listening. It's a lot to do. It's quite
Not easy, is it?
quite a challenge.
No,
But practice, you know.
and
I'm still getting a feel for it. Yeah, I'm still trying to.
especially as I'm at this beginner stage too, you know, that's even harder to work with because I might not be in there well enough to reply to the question you ask, and all kinds of things. Once I get better at going in there and letting the energy forward and the entities forward, then it'll be different. But right now we have this extra level of challenge because we're each both beginning, you as the questioner and me as the channel. Yeah, well, the first times I went to see a channel, I had no idea what to ask. I wrote down my questions in advance, but mm, it's you get better at knowing how to when you pay $300 to go see a channel and you didn't get the answers that you went for, you get really good at asking more specific questions real fast. Well, the next time you go, you're like, damn, I didn't get my questions answered. And that was because of how you asked the questions. You weren't real clear within yourself. They were questions that were too vague or too big. And so they answered a portion, but not the portion you were actually going after. And so anyway, yeah, it's a learning process.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to watch this back in a year's time, 2 years' time or something, and see us start off. Go, look at that idiot. To watch that. And it's a curious journey just to talk back and see it as it took off. Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
No, it's fun
It's funny.
because, a month or a year or even 2 years from now, we're going to have that same depth perception, that allows us to see from this width things that we couldn't see when we were looking at it from here and here and here. And so we only get to see more and more and more and more. So although we may feel like we're looking at ourselves being an idiot, from the perspective we have now and the knowledge we have now, you can see the pathway. You can see the growth pattern, and seeing that growth pattern, yeah, helps you help other people.
That was good. That's good. That's good. I'll give it, fake my questions more, tune them on in. We got up to the creator reality. That threw me a little while. It took me as my mind was like, I started to drift off again, so I had to bring myself back down. just forget that bit and just go at it again from the physical part, because my mind is went.
I could feel the start point that was being chosen, because in the way you were asking the question, a start point had to be chosen. I could see myself being, going through the layers and seeing the potentials and the choice point being chosen. And that choice point was to help you see reality as within yourself, and then from there to see your question now, and if it was even still there.
I do have questions, but they became pointless at that point. I'll need to reevaluate.
Yeah. Something that I did see the energy attempting to help you see was that all the levels of reality are real in the experience of them. And so, yes, you can see it all as occurring within yourself, but then you see the dimension and the experience of those dimensions of experience that are occurring, and that which you are finding yourself in. And that's where your questions happen. They happen relative or in relation to the fundamental. They're still real. That's where creation happens, and that's what creation is. The energy dynamic between what is and what is created. Yes, and how the different parameters or dimensions of awareness perceptually experience and create from that parameter. Yeah. So the questions are still relative, but it's up. They're still pertinent. They're still important. But it's up to you to see the importance, the practicality of it. For instance, in the third dimensional experience, we do perceive the world as outside ourselves. And so, then what would be the importance of, from this perspective, seeing it, any differently? That's a question. And that can come.
You're going to put yourself into the dimension to ask a question that means something to that dimension, because you start getting on a dimension that it starts to get less. I've got to start up what's important in that dimension awareness. When that dimension awareness, then look at it from the perception. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's just get the idea of those different bits.
Just for you to be clear within yourself from which point of perspective you're asking the question, because you can't ask them from all of them all at once, or no answer will come. There is no answer to that question. You see, so it's okay to ask the question from the point of perspective and practicality, of a third dimensional consciousness. But just you have to know within yourself that that's the point from which you're asking the question, and then the question can be answered. But if you're not first clear about that yourself, if you're in a wish-wash, between what is and what is created, then I can't quite catch on to, I'm not in there enough. The entity hasn't come all the way forward yet. Still sitting in that mediumship position, to some degree or another. Yeah. And that's all I can do is reach in and, let through the parts or portions that I can conceptualize. Yeah. Yeah, it's all fun. I'm having a great time with this. Yeah, the possibility is endless. I'm really looking forward to getting to the point where, any of us can speak. I can shift in and out, and they can shift in and forward. That's going to be great. And,
Close to doing that already.
My main interest is in that shift. I like watching the shift take place. That's where I'm getting the majority of my relevant information, and that's all in the geometries and geometrical structures, and how geometrical structures are used to create reality and all of that. That's what I find fascinating. And so that's usually where I go.
Throw Casey a cube, yeah. Throw you a cube, you'll be happy.
Yeah, and that part of me that is involved in that, letting that forward. Yeah, that's what I really want to look forward. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? That's what I'm opening to. And me being aware that, that's what I want to most open to. Even just now in our talking about it coming forward into the front of my awareness, I start to get the juju because it starts coming more forward. Okay, so let's get running. That was a nice long practice. It would be nice if we could sort of get this down, to say 75-minute practice, an hour and 15 minutes, where we begin with the meditation. I do a 45-minute channel. That's about my max, and then I want to come out. I want to come back. And
I'll keep an eye on the time.
A little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'll do that. I'll keep an eye on the times and make sure it stays on time, and I'll give you a call back or something.
Okay.
That's time.
If something juicy is happening and I'm really in there and something's really happening, then let it keep happening. Otherwise, we'll just sort of have that idea as the basic template being 75 minutes. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And especially as the Wednesday practice is right after the OBE group, and so and I have to eat before 6 o'clock and
Good to live.
Okay, good. Okay.
Okay, Casey, that was good.
Good practice. Cool. Thank you.
I'll let a whole bunch even more.
No.